Hello and welcome to episode 153 of the Dance Speak podcast. I am hyped because I love this episode so much. Today's interview is with Yanni Marin. A few of Yanni's credits include the Beyonce Experience World Tour, the Broadway production of West Side Story, the television shows Empire and Jack Ryan. Yanni has covered the spectrum, and I love to hear about this journey through dance into acting and doing well, even though she's super humble and stuff, doing well. So I am already taking notes. If you're not following us yet on Instagram, be sure to follow us at Dance Speak Podcast. Also, if you can take a moment to rate and review us on iTunes, that will be awesome. Make sure to share with a friend. And if you feel so compelled, any donation is greatly appreciated, as it does cost something to produce this free content. And the more of a budget we have, the more guests we can get and share this with the world. And I truly believe in these stories being heard. So no amount is too small. And we are on both PayPal and Venmo under the email dancespeakpodcast@gmail.com. We thank you ahead of time. And without any further ado, enjoy this episode. Hey guys, my name is Galit Friedlander. I've worn many hats in the dance world over the last 15 plus years and have created Dance Speak as a platform for people in the dance industry to share their stories and blueprints for success. So listen up and get ready to be inspired, learn something new, and get personal with the people behind the movements you love. Do you remember how we met?
We met at that little gym in Hollywood, right?
Right at Hollywood and Highland.
Yes, where Mario, a friend of ours, it was his gym, right? And I was teaching piloxing and you were teaching another style of fitness.
And I think it was that our Mario like ran it. And then I think there was another Mario who owned it. There was like some type of who would come.
But he does own his own place now, and it looks really cute. Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
The Mario it looks really, really nice. I mean, I only see him online, so you know.
Shout out to Mario Guevara.
Guevara.
So I'd love to know before then, and not to get like overly basic, but I've looked over, you have a beautiful body of work in theater, in TV. And I'm so curious. So leading up to that moment that we met in LA, which was probably around 2013, could have been as early as 2011, 2012.
2013 for sure. Yeah. Because 2012 I was on tour. Yeah.
How early did you know that this is what you'd be pursuing? Being a triple threat or acting or dancing?
Ooh.
It's basic, but I'm genuinely interested. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that as far as like the triple threat, thank you. I'm going to take compliments today because it's really hard for me to take compliments. But today I'm going to choose to,
Yes.
But I actually always just saw myself as a dancer. And I thought that that's what I was going to do. That's what I was meant to do. And I was going to do it until I literally couldn't breathe anymore. So the singing and the acting came after being on tour with Beyonce and
the Beyonce Experience.
Yeah, the Beyonce Experience, which was 2007. Once I got off of that tour, I knew I always wanted to like be on Broadway, but I never thought I would be like covering a lead or anything like that, or like being featured. So it really was still like, oh, I'm going to be on Broadway. I'm going to be a dancer on Broadway. And I came back to New York after the tour and basically, told my agents like, this is what I want to do next. And they were like, oh, well, you're not ready for that because you just got off of a commercial gig and like, to be on Broadway, like you need to go back into like technique classes and like vocal lessons and all this stuff, which for sure, right? Like makes sense.
Right.
But I grew up as a technical dancer. So just because I was doing Beyonce for a little bit, like doesn't mean that I like lost all my training or, so it just so happened that at that time, like they were casting the revival of a West Side Story, and I went to the open call. I was like, fuck it. If my agents are not going to get me an appointment because I'm not ready, then I'm just going to go myself. Like, I'm fucking perfect for the show. I love this show. Like, I would love to do this choreography. Like, holy fuck. So yeah, I went to the open call, and that's kind of how the whole theater thing started for me.
That's so dope. And then for dancers who are looking at the gambit and are like, I just want to do everything, what are some considerations you feel for doing commercial work like a Beyonce tour versus doing Broadway, aside from the clear? For Broadway, no matter what, you need to have ballet technique. For Beyonce, I know you need to have technique, but for all artists, you don't necessarily need to. But beyond that, what are some considerations that you think might be helpful for dancers to know?
I think that the most important thing is to take as many styles as you can, as you have like accessible to you. And I mean, even nowadays, like you can literally take any type of class online, So to me, that is the most important thing, because different jobs are going to require different things. So you need to be open, and you don't want that audition to be like the first time that you're like, oh shit, there's like a samba section. And you're like, what the hell is that? If you are just familiar with a bunch of different styles, I think it helps you just feel a little bit more comfortable in the room. But also, like, yeah, you are going to have your strengths, right? Like for me, I never actually trained or like was thinking that I would do any commercial work. Like I grew up in a studio. I went to SAB as a little girl. I went to NYU for dance, which is only ballet and contemporary modern dance.
And SAB, to anyone listening who doesn't know, it's like one of the most, I think the most premier ballet school. It is so competitive. I have friends that went there, and it's just no joke. It's like the creme de la creme.
Yeah. For me, like, I mean, I was always technical. And then on the side, like I would take hip hop and tap and lyrical and salsa and flamenco. And, I mean, now there's like so many other styles that like, I feel, like an old person, like I would like butcher their names, but like as a dancer, if you really love movement, there's always going to be one that like pulls you more.
Right.
But if you want to be consistently working, I think it makes sense to just try and.
Sorry to cut you off a little bit. So just redirecting the question slightly, is there like a certain personality type that might be more suited, or considerations like lifestyle considerations for what a Broadway show requires versus a tour dancer requires? If somebody's choosing and they're like LA and industry, and not that there's no industry in New York, but like LA and industry booking tours, not music videos anymore, but like TV, film, New York, I'm going to do Broadway. What it requires for you as a person, is there any considerations are there?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Honestly, from my experience, and again, like I can only speak for myself.
Sure.
I try to not separate them, because I just try to be in any situation that has to do with a job or something that I'm looking forward to do. Like I just try to show up as Yanni, as authentically as possible, and not leave any part of me like outside of the door. Like for me, it's like a mindset thing. I feel successful in an audition and in a job if I didn't leave any of myself out. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't try to like separate them. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm older, like as far as like what you mean, like lifestyle, I definitely am way more conscious about my health and all that stuff. Like when I was on tour with Beyonce, to be honest, like we would get off stage and then I would drink like from midnight to like 6 a.m, sleep all fucking day, go back to the venue, do a sound check, and then do the dance. I never drank during shows ever. Sure. But after, like that was just the lifestyle. So there was no recovery. There was no like thinking about like, how can I be in my most top healthiest shape? Because I was so young that I didn't really care about that back then. But as far as longevity, like I wish I was thinking that way, because maybe now I wouldn't feel as tired, or but yeah, I don't think that I think of it separately. I like to just, whatever it is, whatever I get called for, it is nice to like now be able to like choose whether I want to go in. Cause I feel like when you're younger, you're like, I'll just go in for like anything. Right.
Yep.
But now it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh shit, they want to see me. Oh my God. Yeah. Like I would love to, but I don't like try to prep like, oh, this is for the commercial way and this is the Broadway way. Like this is Yanni. This is what I got. Oh, you need me to sing now? Okay. What kind of song? Oh, I didn't prep that because I didn't think I was going to be singing at this commercial call, but hey, here we go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love that. I feel like there's this idea that you have to there's something about specificity, but there's this idea of like, okay, you take this part of you into that and that part of you into the other. I love hearing that you bring the whole you into all of them. And also you're being real about whatever the scenario brings up. How do you say, like, if you're turning something down or you feel like an audition just really isn't a good fit, how do you go about turning it down? Because you're super professional and experienced, and I'd love to hear that.
What's nice about having agents is that a lot of the time, like, you personally don't have to be the one to like look like the asshole or the one that's like not appreciative of the opportunity. So for me, I feel like my agents are they're really on my side and we're on the same page. So if I do get called in, like if casting asks for me specifically and I get the breakdown and I'm like, like I'm not really like feeling this either, because I don't want to move around like other plans that I have during that time, or it's just like my heart won't be in it and I don't like to do shit unless I really want to be there. So yeah, I just like tell my agents like, hey, I think I'm going to pass on this, or, will you please let casting know that I respectfully decline this offer. I would love to work with them again in the future. It's just not a good time right now. Because also like you don't want to go in and like waste people's time if you already know that if you got it, you're going to say no. Do you know what I mean? Be an asshole like that. Yeah.
I remember sitting I had an agent. They were not good. But I remember, that's just TMI right now. But I remember going to an agency meeting where everyone was in, and the head of the agency was like talking about, and this client, it was this cautionary tale, took a week off to go to Hawaii to go to their best friend's wedding. And they had to turn down this commercial. Don't be that person. They're never going to work in this industry again. And I remember being told, when I was dancing and I had a dance agent, it was like, you have to be available for everything all the time. And I just was so stressed about it. So you're shaking your head because this is mostly going to be on audio. Did you always feel confident about that? Or because I just always felt like, don't fuck this up, Is that you just always felt kind of confident, like life comes first?
Yeah. I feel like I did. To be like completely honest, sure. I feel like I have been very blessed and, very lucky because of all the opportunities that, that I've had and that I've been really passionate about. I've been able to do as far as like in my dance career, like earlier on. So I feel like I always felt that if it was meant for me, it was for me. And if I got asked to do something and I was, let's say, like in the middle of another contract and they were like, okay, cool. So your contract ends on Sunday. So rehearsal starts on Monday for the new thing. And like, I always felt comfortable being like, okay, thank you so much, but I'm actually going to need a week off. I just need a week off. Like, and if that doesn't work for you, then let's see if we could figure something out, or then maybe I'm not the right person. So I feel like, yeah, to answer your question, I think I did always feel kind of confident and comfortable, like just being like, listen, I just got off of this freaking gig that was kicking my freaking ass, which I loved. And now thank you that you're offering me this new one, but like I need a sec because I'm human. I'm not a machine. Like, I need to get like other life experience or go see family, get a little high from, being around your family and hugs and kisses and all that shit, and then go back to work. Like, so yeah, I would say I have been.
What's something that you miss about the dance grind, and what's something that you do not miss that you're relieved like you do not have to deal with anymore?
So I actually just got back. Well, that I just got back from a callback, and it's for a new show that I can't really talk about, but Woo! It is a big, big, big dance Broadway show. Woo! And I almost didn't go because I felt like really out of shape and old, and like that's not what I'm doing anymore, But I think what I missed the most was being in a room with dancers that I respect and that I love, and that it just feels like family. That community, especially like the Broadway community, there really is nothing like it. I really, really miss that. What I don't miss is taking ice baths every night because my body is like, girl, what are you doing to me? And as a dancer, I don't miss that. A lot of the times I feel like we're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
So I don't like that.
I'm so curious because coming from I'm going to go back to Beyonce real quick, and that generation of dancer and style and aesthetic and everything, and where this heels world has gone in the last 5-ish years. Like when you see, a quintessential heels video, like what is your reaction? What are your thoughts?
So I guess for me, like I never, like I said, because I came from like the technical kind of world, like the whole heels thing, I really like had no clue about it until I did start dancing with Beyonce.
But was it
and then I was like,
done point? I'm so sorry, I'm talking over you, but was it easier having done point to do heel stuff?
Maybe. I know that as like just a girl, like I was always in a fucking heel. So like I definitely felt really comfortable like being in a heel like all night long at a club. So I mean, I was like, okay, I could do this on stage. But I don't think that I was even aware at that point that there were like these specific styles and like dancers that this was like their forte. So when I started seeing that shit, I was like, wow, Danielle Polanco, Jessica Castro, like, I mean, and they're also like so versatile. So like, It's not even that they're like just heels either. Yeah. And I think that there's definitely a technique to it. And I think that people now are, again, I'm old and I don't really like.
I disagree that you're old, just so for the
Okay, guys, I'm not old. I still got it. But
it's subjective, but I just want to state my stance.
I don't like stay, I think, on top of it so much where I can be like, oh, what the hell are these people fucking doing? But I do know that some people just like throw on a heel and they're like, oh, because I can get through this choreo, like now I'm a heels dancer, or I can teach heels choreography and all this stuff. And it's like, all right, cool. Like everyone needs to get paid and pay their bills. But I think that there is something to going back to the people who have that experience and those lines, and just like there's still a technique. You know what I mean? So like go and take classes from like those people or the people who have trained with those people so that you look better and not crazy. I don't know.
I just got tempted to like, I don't think I'll actually do this, but if they probably already have this, like a show where you have a panel of 3 dancers looking, this might seem so shady, at different videos and stuff and just sharing all of their unfiltered thoughts. That would be so exciting to me, like unfiltered.
Oh shit. I mean, Danielle Polanco will give you a lot. We'll give you a lot of.
I want to interview her so bad because I remember her from Broadway Dance Center, and then I would sneak into the house dance conference. I don't know if you, and she would be there. She was like 18, just like voguing and doing everything, and she was just so fly. It was and is, so not past tense, but like
yeah, she's a beast.
And back then, such a beast, and I was a beast before ever. It was just like a force to be reckoned with, and somebody who's really, really, really versatile. So I have all the respect.
Yeah.
I'm always curious because I know that, and I know this is your interview, but like she has such a strong opinion and it like comes off on social media. And sometimes I'm so curious, like everything that's behind it, because people might not understand that she really is coming from such a deep background and has put so much training and so much respect for the art form.
Yep.
So got kind of passionate. I'm always so curious about the shift from the left coast and the East Coast and the choice to move, the experience of it, and then coming back. And part of it is me vicariously living through people, because I came to the West Coast and I still live on the West Coast. I visit the East Coast, but I live here and I daydream about all the different possibilities if I had done things any differently. So what was that catalyst? I know it might seem obvious, but for you, what was that catalyst to really uproot your life, come to LA, your experience with it, and then ultimately the choice to come back East?
Yeah. So it started when I did West Side Story on Broadway. When I booked my first Broadway show, I had the opportunity of covering the role of Anita, which Karen Olivo was doing it, and she won the Tony Award that year for the role. And I got to go on quite a bit. And I mean, anyone who knows the freaking movie or book or show like knows that it's a pretty amazing fucking role. And I never had considered the fact that like I could do something like that. And the director really made me feel like I was her, and that everyone else already believed that besides myself. Right. Because I was like, oh, I'm a dancer. Like, I'm just, but it's like, no, bitch, like you're fucking playing Anita on Broadway today. And the audience is like cheering for you, So that was where it started, when I got that little like itch, and I was like, oh shit, this acting thing, it's a fucking journey that I get to like explore every night differently. And it just opened my eyes and my world and made it like so much bigger. And I'm like, oh my God, I can dream new dreams. Crazy. So that was where it started. And then after that, I did a few more shows in New York, but I wanted to kind of transition into more of acting for TV and film. And it was really, really hard for me to do that in New York, because I was pretty consistently being called to go back and do like ensemble tracks and like, hey, we need a replacement real quick for this. Can you come in? It's not that I didn't want or would love to do it. It's just like, if I want to make this switch, I can't say yes, because then I'm just never going to do it. So when I saw that like it wasn't going to happen for me in New York, because I was going to keep getting called to like do dance stuff, I was like, I need to get out of here. Like, I need to be somewhere different. And obviously LA was the first choice. Also, my now wife, but girlfriend at the time, was living in LA. So we had been doing long distance for a while. I think it was like 5 years at that point. So it just made sense. Like I didn't really know anyone out there except her. And I was like, fuck it. Like, this is something new. I have to just like cut it right here and like just start fresh. Yeah. So that's kind of how it happened. And then I just started doing the acting grind, which is just as hard as the freaking dance grind. Like, you have to go and like try to like ask an agent to like please represent you, and they're like, oh cool, you did Broadway, like no one cares about that shit here. So it was like, what do you mean no one cares? They're like, no, you need like a few co-stars on your resume, and go take this casting director, go see this casting director. Like, I was like, oh my God, now I just have to convince people to like love me and care about me and like give me these jobs. So I did. I mean, I did all of that.
So what were some of your like classes you took? What was your training track like for that?
Oh shit. So I was taking classes at Margie Haber Studio, which is in Hollywood. I took a commercial class with, is it Carolyn Berry, I believe her name was. And then she had a teacher.
That class.
It was like a commercial class. She's like an older.
Is she a casting director?
I don't think so.
Never mind.
And then she also had like a Meisner teacher who taught at like the small theater. And I'd never, ever, ever taken an acting class before. So I fell in fucking love with the class and Meisner and repetition and thinking about living through imaginary circumstances and like all that stuff. I mean, just mind blown. I like fell in love. And then how did I get my first agent? I don't know. I feel like I hounded her down. Like I knew she was married to a woman and I was like, hey, maybe that's how we'll, So, and then I had also read that she like loved Broadway, whenever she would like leave LA, like she would go to New York and watch shows for a whole week. And I was like, this is my person. She's going to love me and she's going to get me a job. So yeah, that's how I got my first agent. Then I did the CBS Diversity Showcase in 2000.
I remember you invited me. What the fuck was I doing? I feel at that point I was in so many different directions. I like did not.
Yeah, it's all good. And yeah, so I think that really like, I would say like my career, which, is still feels like it's starting off as an actress, it kind of started off there because the showcase is a great place to kind of put yourself out there and have agents and casting directors come to see you. And then CBS already like knows you. They've been working with you for like 3 months. So like when all the new pilots come out, if you're right for a role, they'll call you in. Even I was auditioning at that time for like series regulars and like leads of pilots, which in my mind, I'm like, I'm never going to get this, but it still gives you an opportunity to show up, do a good job, make an impression, and for them to just remember you for the future, for something else that could come up that you are right for and that you can carry. So yeah, I would say that's how that started, the TV thing.
As you were building your acting resume, so at the time when you had Broadway is amazing. I can't believe they're like LA. Nobody cares about Broadway.
Well, because it's just like the acting, I think, is just so different, right? It's like theatrical and everything is like projecting, and like TV is like literally like you don't have to do shit. The camera reads you, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah. Did you have your resume populated with your dance work, or that's how you did it?
Yeah, I that's the only thing I had. And some people like, I don't want to say that like everyone was like, oh, that doesn't matter. Like, we don't care. Like there are a lot of casting directors in LA who love Broadway. So when they would see something on my resume, they would be like, oh my God, I think I totally would have seen you on this. I'm friends with Patti LuPone. And I'm like, whoa, like you're friends with Patti LuPone. Like, I mean, I worked with Patti, so I'm like, but I'm still a freaking fan. It would give us something to talk about, but like more often than not, they're like, if you're trying to do TV and the only thing your resume says is like Broadway stuff, I just feel like they're already like think that you're going to do something one way when you haven't even started your audition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. What was it like? I'm curious. I want to time travel with you. The first time that you were on set for TV and with acting, like what was your experience like? Was there anything that surprised you about it, about the technical aspect, or what was that like?
What was that like? What was my first thing? I feel like my first thing was Empire.
Yeah, where I randomly was at the premiere that night and I was like, Yanni, in New York.
Oh my God, that's right.
Honey, I didn't realize I was on a date. I dead ass didn't realize I was on a date. I just was like, oh, I was invited to this. I happened to be in New York. And it's like, and I went. And then I feel like such an asshole because I did not have proper date night etiquette. I just was like, that's over there. But it was
all good.
I was randomly there.
Wow. That is so true. Oh my God. Yeah, that was crazy because the premiere was in New York, but we were shooting in Chicago the whole time. Yeah. It was crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think that Empire was like a really great way for me to get in because I was in that girl group and we had to dance and sing and like I got to do all of it. So
I saw the episodes.
Yeah. So we would rehearse obviously like the choreography like before the episodes and kind of block all that stuff out. So it didn't feel so crazy when we finally got on set. You know what I mean? Because we basically blocked it. Like I knew what I was going to do. But at the same time, like because it was just the girl group, I never knew what Taraji was going to do. So for me, like that was the biggest lesson, just watching her work and her process and how kind she was to everyone in the crew and even us who were new and young. And I think that for me, from doing that show, that was the biggest lesson.
Can you share a little bit about her process or what she's like because she's just magical and her emotions, it's like on a dime. They're so available.
Yeah. And she's just so present. And I don't want to say like organic because that's like, ugh. But
she is.
I just feel like she's just not, I obviously I don't know because you know, I could say like, oh, I'm not scared, but like deep down, I'm like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? But she just like her whole persona just feels fearless. And she's like not afraid to make a mistake or like flub her lines, you know, like you see them on TV and you're just like, oh my God, like she's fucking amazing. And she is. But it's because she just goes for it. And like, if she falls, she gets back up. Like, you know, that's why there's cut, you know, let's try that again. So I think that, and also the fact that I don't know if it's because I had like this assumption that like stars were just like divas on set and like, you know, didn't care about the little people or like, I don't know. I don't know why I would think that, but like in my mind, like that's how it was.
It's an archetype.
Yeah. So I just like assumed not that she would be that way. I would be like, if she was that way, I'm like, she has every right to be that way. Like I remember the last episode that I don't know if it was the last one or like the third episode I was in. It was the one where I like basically take over. And we were doing that performance with the little like fringy dress. And my wig kept getting loose. And, you know, like, I don't want to hold up production because who the fuck am I, you know? So I kept like kind of like struggling a little bit. And she was like, hey, she's like, do you need your hair fixed? And I'm like, I do. And she's like, okay, well, let's do it. She's like, you're not going to be able to do what you want to do if you're feeling like you're holding back or like afraid that your wig is going to fall off in the middle of the take. So she was like, yeah, she's like, don't worry about it. Like, make sure that you feel good and that your hair is on. And I was like, okay, like, thanks, you know, but I did feel a certain way, like, wow, we're stopping production to like take off my wig, put my wig back on, pin it, put even more pins. But I'm like, you know, pretty full out. So I mean, I was going to look crazy if I was trying to mark. So yeah, so I just like appreciated that she was like, no, we're going to stop until you feel comfortable to do your job. And she was completely right. I wasn't doing my job well because I was worried that my freaking hair was going to fall off. So it's just a lessons to just like speak up. Once you're there, like you got the gig, right? I feel like we go into stuff and we're like, oh my God, I'm here now and I have to tiptoe and I can't ask questions. I should have all the answers. But it's like, no, even people like her are like always asking questions. Always.
Good. It's a mind fuck because I feel like with dance jobs, I was told so often you're replaceable, and even like nuanced stuff, you know, if you don't have the right expression on your face, you might get replaced. Like, you know, I did not mean to rhyme there, but I'm not mad. What fuels your work ethic? You've been working so hard since you were probably a baby, literally, like going to SAP, and you know, I would have probably burnt out and been like, I was like done. But you work really hard and you pivot and you continue. What fuels that?
I feel like, I mean, I think it's just I really just feel like I was put on this planet to like do what I'm doing. And I cannot imagine doing anything else. I love it so much that I want to do it as much as possible for as long as possible. And it's exciting to experience relationships with new people on set and ask the questions and go through the process of discovering why this character it feels this way. And I mean, I just think it's extraordinary. Like humans are incredible. And the fact that I can for 5 minutes, let's just say like for an audition, like feel what another human is going through and like try and have the audience feel that as well. Like, I mean, I can't imagine doing anything else, honestly.
I love hearing that. And with acting, because I remember I got trained in acting before I did dance. And I remember it was kind of like personally the dark, really, really deep emotions were like what fueled my love for acting at many times, that I needed it to be my outlet. And then I think I reached a point where I felt like I would sometimes get a little stuck around character, like whatever the character is doing, how they talk, you know, that kind of happens to me a little bit. And now I've been out of it for so long, I have a fear around it. So I want to know for you that, because I hear so much fun and freedom around it, like, do you have a process or anything that you find works for you to click in and out of characters and not go overly dark? Or what's your experience with that? Because I really love the vibe I get when I hear you talk about it.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like I haven't been able to dig as deep as I would like to and explore as much as I would like to on any of my TV gigs.
Sure.
Just because I haven't, it's most of it has been either like recurring for like 2 episodes or like 5 episodes, but in Empire I was like mostly dancing and like, so honestly, for me, I have only been able to do that in one class, which was with Larry Moss that I took like right before the pandemic, which was incredible. And I worked on a play. And then the last show that I did called Kiss My Aztec, where I got to basically create this like character from scratch with the creative team. And it was funny because I was doing it as we were getting ready to like get married during that time. And my wife would call me and be like, can I talk to Yanni? I'm like literally talking to Colombina right now. Like that was my character. She's like, where is my future wife? Like, I don't know who this person is. So I think that I would say that, yeah, I don't think that I intentionally like try to like stay in the mindset and the personality of the character. But I do feel like when you're doing it especially with theater, when you're doing it for like 12 hours a day, it's hard. It's hard to switch it off. Yeah. Like it really is. And I haven't figured it out yet. And like I said, I would like literally love to be able to have that like meaty and juicy exploration of a character for TV, for like a series or like a film. And yeah, and we'll see if I can develop the skill to just kind of like snap in and out, in and out. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like because I do bring, like I said, like a lot of Yanni into my characters, it just kind of like elevates a lot of Yanni parts that are sometimes dormant. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm completely this like new person, but some of the bad things get a little or maybe some of the good things hopefully one day will start to come out more. But yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
I don't even care because I'm so in this. So I think you did, but like, who cares? Because this is very interesting to listen to. And like, I truly mean it. And do you have any tips, being in a long-term relationship and now married to artists? For a long time, I think I'd like now every episode, I probably ask like a dating and love question unplanned. And then I listen to it back when I'm editing and I cringe a little bit, but then I'm also happy. I always felt like, okay, I'm going to need to get someone who's like my opposite and But I have always been so drawn to someone who gets it. And at the same time, there's like warnings around it or this idea of stability. So, being in a long-term relationship and now married to the love of your life and you're both artists, like any tips or insights from there about two artists being together and like how to have it be workable from your experience?
Oof. Wow, this feels like we could have a whole hour podcast on.
Oh, dang, part 2. Does that mean he's down for part 2?
I mean, I'm down. Okay, so we've been together for 14 years.
Woo!
And we met on the Beyonce Experience.
So amazing.
I don't know if either one of us thought back then that we would still be together now. But it has been incredibly hard, and not so much because of the artist thing. I think that because we're both artists, we both understand that part. In the beginning, the hard part was the traveling and not being together, and like me doing a show in New York, her traveling the freaking world with Beyonce again, like, and me knowing that life, and then being like, oh, a lot of insecurities. Like, even though I was like doing great in my career, like, what was my significant other doing? You know what I mean? It was like a lot of natural. That. Yeah. And it also comes with just being young as well. Like, and the beginning of a relationship, if you're not like always around each other, you just like,
That's not like, just me.
No.
I get so insecure and weird. Yeah. Okay.
No, I think it's totally, totally natural. And then in LA, when I went to LA, it was the first time we lived together. So that was like another, like a big thing. But I think the one, maybe not one, but one that I'm thinking off of the top of my head that has been consistent throughout is that we both believe in the other one so much. I think she's the most talented person in the world. And I feel like, I mean, I'm not going to speak for her, but like she feels that way about me too, and like, she pushes me and she's like, yeah, you can do that. She's like, yeah, of course you can. So it's like that belief in the other and that support, that's something that like we never had to work at all, because it was just there. Like, I just know that she's incredible. If she is communicating something to me that she is possibly like thinking about exploring, or a gig that they offered her, but she's like, oh man, I've been like really focused on like doing my own project, and like, do I really want to go and like play bass for this artist? Like, I'm like, well, do you? Like, you can do that. So do you feel like you're going to lose the focus and the momentum that you have right now on your project? If you feel like you can go do that and come back and be inspired, and, like, sometimes stepping away, you can get a little more fire and a little more, you know what I mean? Like, you need that. And sometimes if you're already like, oh, but I don't really get along with this other person, it's like, well, then why are you even considering putting yourself in a situation that you already know you're not going to be too happy about? Like, something else will come along, So like, we process those things together really well, which helps. But I think the biggest thing is just communicating and wanting the best for the other person. She knows all of my dreams and she thinks that I should have them. Even when I don't think, I'm like, oh, am I good enough? She's like, yeah, you're the best. I'm like,
I love
okay,
that.
whoa, take it easy. So I don't know if I answered the question, but I think
did. It was just like the thing about artists dating artists, and yeah, a little bit of insight into that, and really just asking for selfish reasons. So I hope that
No, but it's hard either way. I think relationships are hard either way. People call me for relationship advice all the time, even cousins who are, with like straight people, not artists. And there's my dog in the background. Sorry.
Love it. It won't
and
be
I'm
super
like,
loud.
and I'm like, why me? And I think it's also just because I can give them like a different perspective on things. And I think that also another thing that we have developed over the 14 years is that in the beginning I was like a really good communicator, and like I wanted to like just like open her up, and I'm like share. And now we've kind of like flipped where I can get like in really like kind of dark like moods and things when things aren't working out for me, or I feel like I'm not good enough and I'm not booking, and like my career, like, it is who I am when it's not. But, we all have those days. And, she's like, okay, put the phone down. What's going on? I'm like, nothing. So like now we've like flipped the roles. She literally will not let me get up until we've talked about it. And it never has to do with anything like personal with her. I'm like, don't worry, like it's not anything you did. She's like, yeah, I don't care. Like, what is going on? Talk, get it out. So that has been, I think that is really important in any relationship, not to let the other person go on for too long, like feeling away, and either you're like ignoring it and like, oh, they'll get over it, or it's probably nothing. Who cares if it's nothing? They're feeling something and they need someone, even if they're saying that they don't. And who better than your person, the person you've chosen to like spend the rest of your life with, or in this moment with,
Oh, I love that. My heart's also like,
Yeah.
just also receiving that, switching it over just a little bit, and then I'll wrap it up. Are you at a tight hour, or can I go like 5:00? Okay, dope.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm just super curious, what was the catalyst, if you don't mind sharing, to move from LA back to New York? Because I'm doubly curious about that after the initial move, knowing when it's time, and then moving back and how that is.
Yeah, so I don't think that it's funny because now I'm in this place right now where I'm like, oh, should I have stayed in LA? Should I go back? Like,
should.
Yeah. So I'm in that moment right now.
Can I share something real quick?
Yeah.
There's a favorite person, Christina Ship, and she's an actress, and she's also huge in branding and marketing, like, very great at that. And she always says, don't let life shit on you. And that stuck with me.
Shit on you?
Yeah, shit on you. Don't let life shit. I just want to share it from Christina.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. So I got Empire. I got a few other guest star roles, and then I got Jack Ryan, which shot in Montreal, and I had I would say it's probably like my most significant role for like a TV show, and I had a blast. It was amazing. And then I was like, I feel like I'm like in. I transitioned, like I'm in. And I don't really like LA.
That's important.
And it's not that I don't like it. Like, I think if I was getting up and going to work every day, like I would love it. But the downtime and the like not working is just like, I can't. It's a little too laid back for me. Like, I can't have another green juice or go on another hike this week because that is not giving me what I need. So that is why my wife and I had talked about it, and I had told her, I'm like, listen, I'm excited about moving to LA. It's great. But like after 3 or 4 years, can we move back? Or she had never lived here, but I'm like, is that cool? Like that I kind of know that this might happen. And she was like, yeah, as long as you like give it a try and like, you don't give up. And yeah, pretty much around that third and fourth year, I was like, I want to go back. This feels like home. I just like love the energy of being on the East Coast, and especially here. Like we live in Jersey. Like I'm like looking at the city right now. I just feel better here as like an artist.
So important.
but again, like a lot of the times I'm auditioning like all the time, which is so awesome and so great. And I'm so grateful, but I'm not booking as much. So, and I don't know if, like everything is so crazy now with the pandemic and like, it's crazy. But when I get into those places, those dark places, I'm like, oh, well, maybe if I was in LA, I would, because I was growing and I was booking and like, why did I leave? But it's like, that doesn't mean anything. I can just go back to LA and like not book shit. So I just have to be where it feels right. My family is here. My friends from kindergarten are here. Like, so
I believe in it. That's one of the hardest things about living out here is not being around the people that I knew when I was like a toddler and not being around family. I visit New York a lot, but I just know if I wasn't so firm, like I have now created roots here, which is kind of scary to me. But if I didn't have that, I would have moved back. And I'm also just a happier person here. I think I need the sunlight. Otherwise I'm kind of depressed for the whole,
that makes a lot of sense.
So it's 10 years from now and we're grabbing coffee and we're catching up. Okay. Oh, yeah. Are you down to time travel? I forgot to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So it is. So we're talking present tense because it is, can I do math? It is 2031. So made up. We're in spacesuit now. We're meeting up for coffee and I'm asking you like, Yanni, like you've really been doing it. What has been the most exciting thing for you professionally in the last 10 years?
Ooh.
2031. I mean, you literally haven't aged at all.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember us talking about, really diving deep into dramatic role on TV, but you've really done so much since we sat down for that first interview.
Yeah. Wow, that's like really specific. Yeah, I was on this series for 7 seasons.
Yes.
And it's funny because it just happened like exactly when the series finale, like this director from Broadway called me to see if I wanted to do this straight play, just 2 characters on stage. It's called Beirut. It was done by Marissa Tomei and Oscar Isaac originally. Well, actually, Oscar Isaac did it in a reading during the pandemic, but Marissa Tomei has done it on a stage before. And yeah, like I, had been talking about wanting to do something like that for a really long time, especially like back in New York. So I did that for a while. We also had a baby and
congratulations.
She's 8 years old now. And I continue to get old.
And you continue to say the same age.
Yeah. So that sounds,
congratulations.
I mean, I've been on the cover of like, a couple magazines.
Yeah,
and
I think I saw you on, oh my God, I'm blanking out.
It was Mary Claire.
Yeah. I was like, I know her. And I just seemed like a nut because I was yelling down the street.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I also saw your review in the New York Times while I was in Bora Bora. I tried to say no newspapers, but it was delivered to the doorstep of my hut where I was with my lover, who's my husband lover.
Oh, gosh.
The children were with the nanny.
I wish I could have done that. The children are with the nanny. You should call me next time.
Definitely. Because, one of the things that I dreamed up 20 years ago was that I get to travel the world and meet up with friends and also fly them out, even though they're all doing so well. I love treating people. So absolutely, please have your assistant send me your calendar and the whole family. I hope you like tropical locations.
Oh, I love tropical locations.
Perfect. Yes. And so traveling back to 2021, thank you so much. Seriously, I really love diving into dreams because also I really believe that they do happen. And then I get to say, told you so.
Yeah. Wow.
Oof. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that comes to mind that you wish I would have asked? or that you would have hoped I would have asked?
Oh my God, no, this was so good. I mean, I hate talking about myself, so
Thank you for
this
putting
was
yourself through this
this
torture.
was pretty smooth, I think. No, I think that's it. I mean, I've been kind of like diving in a little bit into like writing and producing, and I will be making 2 short films
Yes.
in either, probably won't happen by the end of this year, but for sure next year. Yeah. And just like opening up, I think, now in the day where like so many people are like creating their own work, I think that as a dancer, at least my generation and like where I came from, like there has always been a little bit of this like limiting belief that you can only do this one thing. And although I've like transitioned and I'm like exploring this other thing, but like I feel like it was easy to do that because I had gotten to a place as a dancer that I felt like I have done everything I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. So like now I'm like kind of obsessed with this new thing, like super, super cool, but like I haven't accomplished everything there. So like the writing, is like, oh, well, who are you to be a writer? Like you're not even an established actor yet, and it's like, no, you can do it. You can do it all.
Yeah.
So really just like focusing a lot of my downtime on like just being creative in other ways.
And just so you know, like you say that, and who am I? But that's the minimizing voice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I see it, and you could literally say anything, and I'd be like, I trust that you're going to do that, and you're going to do it well. Like that's how I see you. So I'm really excited that you're not letting the limiting belief voice run the show.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going slightly over. I just was so curious, like 4 rapid fire questions, because I just know it's going to be extra fun with you. Ready? And then
I hope it's rapid. I'm a thinker.
I love that. My rapid fire is usually like an epic, interesting fail. Okay. Disclaimer. What is a fashion choice that you made over the years, looking back, like a trend that you followed that you just cringe at?
Oh my God. The overall with the one, one off, just hanging off.
Yeah. I did it with boxers and briefs and a tank.
Yeah, but I'm like, why couldn't I just like hook that other one up? Like what?
With a baggie at the end. That's so
yes. Cool. And my high tops and a dark brown lip liner with like clear gloss. Oh, girl.
Yes. Okay, great. A favorite movie or favorite couple movies?
Oh, I got a lot. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is, I think, one of my top faves now. I think it was released during the pandemic. It's so good. It's a French movie. Cinema Paradisos is an Italian movie. West Side Story, the original. Yeah. Those are 2 that are, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. A favorite dancer and a favorite actor or actress? I know you can like blurt out a few if they just come together. I know it's hard because it'll naturally leave things out, but I'm just curious shame on me putting on a spot like
that.
This.
Favorite dancer? Like, do you ask this to dancers?
Mm-hmm. I usually ask like underrated or, someone that you geek out of that might not be the obvious or.
Okay, I'm going to go. Okay. This is hard because I mean, like all my friends.
I know you could like just laundry list it if you want to. It's because I'm a softie and I have trouble